Alright, so I'm sure most of you, if you're here, have already taken a look at the new The Batman trailer with Robert Pattinson. We've all been waiting a long time to see what Robert Pattinson would bring to the Batman role. And I just wanted to do a video to give kind of my initial thoughts. But I didn't want to do just a trailer reaction. I'm sure there's a billion of those already by now. But I wanted to go a little more in depth and just talk about like my history with the character of Batman, my favorite versions of Batman, and then maybe go and look online and see what other people are saying about it. Just kind of get a mix of how people are feeling about it. And then also, if you're interested, I plan on making an audio version of this for my podcast. It's called Brett Scott Daily. If you look that up on any of your podcast apps of choice, I will add an extra segment on the end of it where I will call up some fellow comic/movie geeks, friends of mine, to see what they thought of the trailer as well. But this thing's definitely trending online. It's a pretty big deal. It was released yesterday with the DC fandom thing that they were doing for DC. And alright, here's what I think of it, okay? I think that it looks pretty freaking dope. I think it looks good. I have some misgivings. I have some worries. And that's just because my main worry is that we're getting so many Batman films. It was a big deal in 2008 when... Was it 2008? When Christopher Nolan's Batman came out, Batman Begins. It was a big deal because we hadn't seen Batman since, the Tim Burton Batmans and the original kind of series of, it became almost like slapstick comedy Batman, and it kind of fell off. People were like, oh, this is just silly at a certain point, right? With Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, it got a little ridiculous. After Michael Keaton left the role, it got a little silly, right? And it got all over the place. And I feel like they shoved too many characters into the movies all at once, and it was just wacky. It was a wacky Batman. It almost reverted back to the, to the 60s Batman, the Adam West Batman, where it was, a little tongue-in-cheek, a little silliness. And I think a lot of people really wanted to see a darker, more realistic even Batman, and that's what Christopher Nolan gave us. Christopher Nolan gave us the most realistic Batman I think that you can get, in terms of it wasn't far-fetched like the other ones. Sure, it was a little far-fetched, but it was more realistic. Everything they did made it seem like it would happen if it did happen in real life. That's how it would happen, right? Like the Batmobile looked like a military vehicle, right? It didn't just look like this crazy vehicle that you've never seen before, right? It looked like a functional, badass military vehicle that would actually already be created, you know what I mean? And it's my favorite movie version of Batman that we've had. So we had Tim Burton's Batman, which was dark. There was still some silliness in it, but it was dark. It was kind of weird. It was very Tim Burton-y, right? It was very Edward Scissorhands-y. You could tell it was made by the same director, right? Whereas Christopher Nolan's, like I said, had a more realistic feel to it. They made the scenarios a little more realistic, okay? Not so over the top. And I enjoyed that very much about it. There was some silliness about Christian Bale doing the crazy deep voice. A lot of people didn't like that. I didn't care. That didn't really bother me. And then some people hate on the third installment of that, The Dark Knight Rises. But most people agree that Heath Ledger is probably the greatest Joker we'll ever see in a Batman film. And that film, The Dark Knight, is one of the greatest superhero movies of all time. I feel like most people would agree with that. Now let's get into this Batman movie. Okay, this one's called The Batman, and like I said, my only worry is that it comes a little close to the Ben Affleck version of Batman, which is another version some people don't like, but I think he is a great Bruce Wayne. I think he is a deep, dark, brooding Bruce Wayne. I think he is the darkest version of the character that you can kind of imagine, and I think he plays the role really, really well. So, this movie, The Batman. Now, there is an animated series called The Batman, which was kind of like a little bit different take on Batman. It was a little bit different than, like, say, Batman the Animated Series or the Batmans that we've seen in movie form. I liked it. I liked it a lot. But it was a little different take on some of the characters and stuff, and I thought it was good. Now, I've been wondering since this the title of this first came out, if they're going with kind of that version. Are they basing this off of The Batman, the animated series? Not Batman the Animated Series, but the animated series called The Batman, which came several years after Batman the Animated Series. Which is, by the way, Batman the Animated Series is one of the greatest versions of Batman ever. Ever. Fantastic. Okay, so The Batman. I don't know if it's based on that or not, but this trailer was sweet. I liked it a lot. I think that Robert Pattinson makes a pretty good Bruce Wayne, at least initially, from the little glimpses we get of him in the trailer. And I like if we're going to talk realistic Batman, his suit and his car are extremely realistic. I feel like they're doing almost like it literally just looks like a costume that he built, that he made, that he, sewed together or had someone sew together. And it's more cloth than we're used to, but that provides for a lot more movement. And I kind of think this might be based a little bit more on like Batman Year One, because it's a very young Bruce Wayne, and it seems as though in this trailer that he's kind of just getting started. He's just building a reputation as Batman, and I like that. I like that. One of the coolest things about Nolan's Batman is that there was something we had never seen, and that was how he got to be Batman, right? The training that led up to it. Not just the murder of his parents and then zoom forward to where he's been Batman for a couple years. We get how he trained and became Batman, his whole history with Ra's al Ghul and the League of Assassins, and how that all went down, and how it initially played out for him to, encounter them as the villain in that movie. But I really liked Batman Begins for that. It really dove into the creation of Batman. And it seems like this might do kind of the same, but without the training and stuff. But it's more like if you've ever read the graphic novel Batman Year One, fantastic book. If you've never read it, go check it out. It is like Batman's first year as Batman. He first becomes Batman. He's first developing a relationship with Commissioner Gordon and how all that plays out and the craziness of that. And gives you some insights into Commissioner Gordon, who he is, what his personal life is like. Really good, really good. And I'm kind of hoping that this goes down that route, that it follows Batman Year One quite a bit, the comic book, right? Not the Nolan version that we got, which is a little different. I don't want to see the same thing again. And that's what some people are saying is like, this looks cool and everything, but it doesn't look like something we haven't seen. Well, it's kind of hard to do something we haven't seen, to be honest. You can do some stories we've never seen, and that's what I'm hoping for here, is to get a story that we've never seen played out on the big screen. Maybe even a story we've never seen played out in an animated series, or maybe even in a comic book. But it looks as though the main antagonist in this film is going to be the Riddler, and that's going to be played by Paul Dano. We've got Zoe Kravitz is going to be playing Catwoman. I think that's pretty sweet. So we've got a person of color as Catwoman, and we have a person of color as Commissioner Gordon, which that we have never seen before. We have seen Halle Berry as Catwoman. We have never seen Commissioner Gordon portrayed anything other than an older white man, right? And I think this is cast really well. Jeffrey Wright is an awesome actor. I think it is a fantastic choice for him to be Commissioner Gordon. I can't wait to see his take on Commissioner Gordon. We have Andy Serkis from Black Panther, from Lord of the Rings, from anything where they have to animate a human being moving around. That's Andy Serkis. Fantastic in that kind of a role, and also fantastic as an actor. I think he's amazing. But he is playing Alfred, which I think that's another cool, it's like, wow, okay, yeah, all right, let's do it. We got John Turturro is playing Carmine Falcone, which we've seen renditions of him in the animated series and in a couple of the films. And then we have got Colin Farrell as the Penguin. Now, that I'm really curious to see what that's like how he portrays. He's been in some comic book movies before. He played Bullseye in the Daredevil movie, the critically destroyed Daredevil movie, and I did not like the character of Bullseye in that movie. They did not do the character justice at all. It was strange. But I want to see him as the Penguin. I want to see what he is like as the Penguin. I can't wait to see that. So, and of course, Robert Pattinson. Like I said, going into this, I was very skeptical of Robert Pattinson. We all know Robert Pattinson, right? Twilight, okay? Edward in Twilight. And it's hard to shake that role. But he has been in a lot of other... He likes to do very artistic stuff. Stuff outside of the norm. A lot of times low budget, indie films. And I haven't seen a lot of his movies, but I'm hearing in the zeitgeist that he is a fantastic actor. And that he's really an actor's actor. He's really... he loves to do fun, challenging, different type of roles. And I'm glad to hear that, because I would hate that, I would hate for him to get just completely typecast forever as Edward, you know what I mean? The handsome guy that is eye candy for females. I think, like I said, initially I was skeptical. I was like, I don't know, man, can he be Bruce Wayne? Because he seems a little, I don't know how to say it. He seems like a more soft persona. He seems, he's not big and bulky. He's not that version of Batman, for sure. He's not the Ben Affleck version of Batman. But he looks pretty sweet in in this trailer. And I think he pulls off Bruce Wayne really well. See, I was always like, I think he could pull off Bruce Wayne, but I'm not sure about Batman. And that may seem silly, but you know what I mean? It's like two different people in one, okay? Bruce Wayne is a different persona than Batman. And I was sure that he had the look to play Bruce Wayne, but did he have the look and acting ability to be the Dark Knight? And you don't get a lot of it, of him as the Dark Knight in this. He says one line, he says, "I am vengeance," which reminds me a lot of the animated series. I thought that was really cool. Instead of, there's this big scene, it's like, "Who the hell are you?" And he's like, "I am vengeance," right? Like, instead of saying Batman, you expect him to say Batman. I thought it was pretty cool. They didn't just go with the title line where he says, "I am the Batman." That would have been a little too on the nose, but I don't know, man. I'm hopeful. It looks good. Like I said, from the trailer, it doesn't look like anything we haven't seen. It almost kind of looks like a mix of different things we have seen. Like I said, the Riddler seems to be the main antagonist in this, but you get these people with dark makeup on, which reminded me of all the little henchmen of the Penguin in Batman Returns. Had a real Batman Returns feel at that point. And we know the Penguin's in this, so I don't know, they almost looked exactly the same. I almost feel like one of those henchmen might actually be one of the henchmen from Batman Returns, but who knows? I don't know. Anyway, those are my thoughts on it, but let's dig into... I'm in a great Facebook group that follows a podcast called the Uncanny X-Cast, which in my opinion is the greatest X-Men podcast of all time. If you're an X-Men comic book fan at all, I highly suggest you check it out. It's been running since 2006, and it's still running today in some way, shape, or form. They don't post as often as they used to, but it is a journey if you go listen from 2006 to now. It's crazy, and I love these guys. But anyway, there is a Facebook group of avid fans in there, right? And if you want any kind of feedback on anything comic book or movie related, you post in there, you get a lot of feedback really quick. So I'm going to read some of their reactions on here, and I'd like to see if you guys agree with any of this. So here we go. Let me jump into this group. Okay. So one guy says, why did they change his name to Vengeance? Obviously, joking. That was Malta, India. Another guy, Eric Gerard, says, looks like it could be good to me. Here's to hope. I enjoyed seeing him go postal on a thug. That's very Batman and why criminals fear him. Yeah. And at one point during the trailer, you see him just, you hit this, he hits this guy like 9 times, and then he says, I am vengeance, right? And then Brian Perillo says, it doesn't look like anything we haven't seen before. And a couple people agreed with him very much. So, and like I said, it doesn't really. It doesn't really. So it remains to be seen if it's going to be anything new about this movie. Tom Zilla says, the story looks interesting. What I could make out through the murky darkness of the trailer. It was a very dark trailer. I have to say that. At points I'm like squinting at it like I'm trying to make out what's going on. So Patrick Paradis says, there's a Batman movie I want to see, and it hasn't been made yet. It's Steve Carell acting like Don Draper, wrestling with the fact that he's been replaced by a new generation of Bat heroes. Nightwing, Red Hood, Red Robin. Okay, this has nothing to do with the trailer, but it's funny nonetheless. Rich Luckritz says, looks like it hews way too close to the Nolan films aesthetically for my taste, so he's not a fan of how this one looks. David Ace Gutierrez says, Let's see. Brian Griffin. Looks like it's trying to outdark the Nolan films, which I don't know is the right direction for me. I like the cast, though. So he's a fan of the cast, but it looks like they're trying to go dark, right? I get it. Let's see, what else here? Miguel Tarango says, I'm tired of all these reboots. So, Rick Laranjo says, it looks incredible, can't wait, such a good trailer. Okay, and then another thing that this just reminded me, the song they used in the trailer was Something in the Way by Nirvana. It's dark, it's almost kind of scary. It's cool, man, the way they use it in the trailer. I thought it was a really good choice. I never would have thought to use that song in a Batman trailer, but wow, genius move in making that song the main song of the trailer. So anyway, like I said, if you enjoyed this and you want to hear a little bit more, I'm going to call up a couple of my friends, and if you want to hear what they had to say and our conversations about it, it will be over on my podcast. Just search Brett Scott Daily on whatever podcast app you use, and it'll be on there. It'll be labeled something, The Batman Fan Reactions or something like that. So, yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please like and share the video. Subscribe if you're not already. I would love to have you guys subscribe because I post daily. I post about random topics. I talk about random topics every single day. I try to post a new topic. Sometimes it's super relevant and super important, I feel like, and sometimes it's not so important. It's just kind of silly. Sometimes it's stuff like this where I talk about the Batman trailer, but all kinds of different things. If you're into that sort of thing, subscribe for more because that's what I do. Thanks for watching, and I will, if you subscribe and hit the notification bell, I will see you tomorrow.